Hello friends, you're welcome to the part 4 of building a REST API using Axum and Rust. In this part, we'll look at how we can register a user, log in a user, and protect a route with token. So without much delay, let's get right into it. The first thing I'll do is to go to my cargo.toml file and bring in two libraries or two crates. The first one is bcrypt. I use this 0.15 version, and I'll bring in JSON web token. I'll bring in the version 8, and I can run cargo build. Now close my terminal. I'll allow this to run in the background. Cool. So we have the user model here. So let's flesh this out. I'll do a pub struct, call it user, then pub ID will be I32, pub name will be a string, copy this, paste, and this should be email, copy again, then paste. This should be password hash, like so. So we can add the serialize, it should be in derive, and we'll be doing serialize macro, the serialize macro, and the debug, which allows us to print. So I'll copy these three and I'll come here. I'll do pub struct, call this register user, and I'll paste it here. And let's copy from here, and you can paste this too. I'll remove the debug. And I need the login struct. I'll copy this and I'll paste. We can call this login user struct. So we don't need the name here. So we have a user struct, register user struct, and the login user struct. So we need to create the user routes like we did in the last class where we created the get players and the create players. I'll come here, we'll create pub mod and call it user or auth. But let's use this, my code action, create a user, and we have this here. And we can do pub async register user, and this will return a result and then we can bring in the user like so. And for error, you can return a status code. It should be in status code and string. Aside, we can open this. Pub async, how can we mix the function? Fn. Yep. So let's bring in the status code from Axum. And we can bring in this user too. That will clear the area. And we can bring in a JSON from Axum too. So in this bracket, like we did in the last class, that we used the PG pool, if you remember, in this create layer, we can use this, and I'll come to the user and we can paste here. So we need the PG pool and the user input. Let's bring the state and the PG pool, like so. And this is going to be register user has been declared. And instead of the player, we can call this payload, like so. And let's hash our password first. Call it hash, then we can call hash from the bcrypt that we install. So this will take in the password and the cost, or the sort, whichever one you want to call it. So this is the password, the plain password, and the sort. And my password will be payload dot password. Let's call this the password hash or password. This should be password. Let's use password. And this should be password too. So we can do payload.password. And we can give it a cost, say 12 or 10. Then let's undo the error. In the case of error, you can do map error, this. Then this will be taken. So I'll put this pipe here, this closure. And if error, you can have a status code of internal server error, like so. And the error to string, and we close. So what are we missing here? Hash password. Okay, let's continue. Then let the user be equal to the SQLx. Then query as, and this should be macro. We can remove this. Then we can pass in the user. And we can write the query for inserting a new user. So we'll have insert into the users. So we need the name, we need email, we need the password hash, and the values will be parameter 1, parameter 2, parameter 3, and returning ID, name, email, and the password hash. So, and let's close this. We don't need this. And can pass in our payload dot name, payload dot email, and payload dot hashed. Then at the end, we can do the fetch one, and I'm passing the pool, which we call PG, and let's await. I don't know, maybe I should disable these error lines. I think it's a bit confusing. But I'll continue. Then map error. Then we have our closure. Then this will be status code dot internal server error. Then we can have our e to string. And we can close this. And if okay, let's give it if okay. We'll just pass the JSON. Okay, we can bring in the user. So we got the user does not exist. That's correct. We need to create the user. So let's do that quickly. I'll go to so I created this other window 3, so we can log into the DB that we created. Do we have it here? .env. So we can pick this, and 3, we can do db add UI connection, db UI add connection, this, and I'll paste it here. I'll call it Axum Lite, and let's close. I'll reopen db UI. Then I'll press R to refresh, and we should have it here. So if I go to my public, you will see just one that we created. And so let's create the user table. Create table, call it users, and in this table we have the ID serial. Can you spell serial? Primary key, then name should be varchar, and let's give it say 100, not null. Then email should also be varchar, do 150, and we do not null. And the password hash, so the password hash should be a test because it will be very long. We are storing the hash and not the plain text. So we have the password hash, and that should be all. We can come here and close this and remove this. Then if I save, we should have the table create. Cool. So if I refresh, should have the table list here. So let's see this. We have the ID, name, email, and password hash. So let's go back to our code. I'll go to my user. Let me see if I can build to cargo build to remove the error saying password hashed unknown field. Oh, so this should be, that's correct. It should be hash and not. Okay, cool. And the error is gone. So we have the register function here to create a new user, and it's going to be hashed. So what I will do is I'll copy this, and I'll paste it for the login. So call this login user, and instead of the register user, we can do login user, like so. We don't have the name. I'll remove this first, then let's remove this hashed too. So we can do let user equal to SQLx, do query as macro, then we pass in the user, and we can select star from the users table where email equals to the parameter of 1, then we parameter of 1, and we can pass in the payload.email, like so. Payload.email, we can call the fetch optional this, and we pass in our PG, like so. And of course we need to await it, and we undo the error, map error. So we can pass in this, pass in the underscore, so we don't want to send the actual error to the client. And see status code. So we can use unauthorized or bad request. Let's use this, authorize. Then we can pass in the invalid credentials. Then we have to string at the end. We want to close this, like so. Then let's verify. Then the next thing is to verify the password. So valid, we can call the verify from bcrypt. So this will take in the password, and it's going to be a reference to payload.password that is coming from Postman, and this will be a reference to from the user.password hash, like so. And let's undo the error, map error, and again we just put the placeholder here, and we do source code dot authorize. We can do invalid password, then to string, and we can close this. So what do we have? We have no field password hash on type option from the user. Do we have password hash? How can we remove this? No field password hash on type option models users. So we'll fix this error in a bit. Let's just move on. I'll remove from here, and we can do if not valid. That is, if the verified password is not valid, we can just return error, status code, authorized, and we can throw the invalid password, then call the into. Let's compose our expiration time, then we will compose our token, and at the end we will return the token back to the user. But first we need to write our secret. Secret will be our standard std.env.var, we call it JWT underscore secret dot unwrap, or let's use this or else, then my secret. So then we have into, call this, then we close this. So let's declare our expression time as UTC dot now, then plus duration, that will be hours, and we do 1. That is, we're using 1 hour. So let's bring in this, let's install the UTC from Chrono and whatnot. So I'll go back to my YAML file and I'll bring in Chrono. The version should, let's give it 0.4.42, and the features will be setting, and we can build this. I'll come back here. Let's see, expected. Okay. So let's see if this one will come from Chrono. Okay. And duration 2 from Chrono. So and let's compose our claims. So we'll do claims. We have ID equals to the user.id, then sub we b equals to user.email clone, then expression time will be this expression time that we declared will be equal to this exp that we declared up here, dot timestamp as u size. So for this claim, we'll create this claim in, let's go back to main. We'll create a mod utils. So my code action, then we choose 2. So we have the utils, then the mod, and inside this mod, like we used to do, we'll do pub mod. We can create a file or a module called JWT, and my production again, I'll create this file here. And in this file, we can put in our claim here. I'll do pub struct, then this will be our claims, and we wrote pub ID of I32, pub sub of string, then pub exp of u size. And we write our derive, put in our debug, serialize, and deserialize from setting. So if I go back to my user route, we can bring in these claims like so. And let's close this like so. And we are left with the same error that we have here. So not field ID on type option model users. So let's fix all these errors. I'll come here. I'll call this user option like so. And I'll create a real user here. Let user be equals to, then do match the user option. So some passing the u, so return the value, and in the case of error we can just return none. Then we have return error, source code, we can do unauthorized. And at the end, we'll have invalid credentials. Let me call the into, and we can close this. And the error is gone. So let's continue with our code since the error is gone. So these are claims. We have the user ID, the user email, and the expiration time. So the next thing to do is to compose our token. Token will now be equal to encode from the JWT token that we installed earlier. We have these claims, so it will encode the code, take the header, claims, and key. And if you know how JWT is being structured, we have the payload, the headers, and the keys. So the header will be a reference to the header dot default. Then can pass in our claims. So be a reference to the claims, and the key will be our encoding key from secret key. Then we can pass in our secret that we declared, and we call the as byte. Then at the end, we want to handle the error to map error and pass in the error here, and we pass our source code dot internal server error, and we pick the error from the closure, do error dot to string, just one to string. At the end, we close. What are we missing here? Internal server error. Okay, I think I see the. All right. And since we have our token, we can compose our token like JSON, return the JSON format, and this will be token will be equals to token, and we need to bring in this token, this JSON, I mean JSON equally bracket, okay, curly bracket, and we can change this. So expected user found value. Do we have here? Should we change this to value? Let's change it to value. And the error should be gone. So let's explain this line by line. We declared a public function which is asynchronous. Name of the function is login user, and we used our state like we did. This is the Postgres state, so that can be passed across multiple handlers, and we have our payload coming from the request body, and this is the login user that we declared earlier. So this function will return a JSON of value, and in the case of error, status code and string. So if you read the value, this will represent any valid JSON value. So instead of hard coding or passing your DTO, you can pass in any JSON value like so. And this fetch optional will return an optional user. Think of it returning something like option. Then we pass in the user like so, and we undo the error here. That is if the user, so this is the user optional. Then if the user is present, we pass in the response or the result as you, and if not, we are returning the error as unauthorized or invalid credentials. and we validated our password, the user password hash against the password stored in the DB, and we called our secret from the .env, and this is a default, like a fallback, and this is a fallback in case we can see, for example, I made a mistake. Instead of secret, I wrote SCRT without the E. If this is not present, it will fall back to this my secret. So I'll correct this. So, and for the expression time, this is the current time plus 1 hour. That is the current time. Just add 1 hour to the current time. And we composed our token using this encode. So if you read on this encode, it says encode header and claims given, and sign the payload using the algorithm for the header. And lastly, we undo the error, then return the token back to the user. So I hope this makes sense. And also, I will, at the end of this series, I will leave the GitHub link in the description box. So let's mount this login user. I'll come to my route mount here, and come here, do route, then call this login, and for the login we call the post, and we call the login user, like so. We don't need the state, and copy this and paste. This will be register, and change this to register user. I'm missing anything here. Okay, register user, and all the error is gone. Let's run our app again. Cargo, let's build first. Or if you want to run a faster check, you can do cargo check. This will not create any binary. You can just check very fast. And can do cargo run, like so. And if I go back to my client.http, then you can write a post http and do localhost 7879, then call register, then let's copy from here and I'll paste, like so. And we have email, I'll do biome@c.com, then we have password, I'll do admin 000. I'll save this. Let's give it a whirl. Rest run. So let's see the rest log. Syntax, something went wrong when making a call request. Okay, let's go back to our client. What did we miss? Oh, this is what I missed here. So let's call the rest run again. Yeah, so we created this user. So we have user 1, name is Salah, email is Abayomi, and this is the password. And if you go to the DB, if I run this, you should have this stored. So it means our app is working. So I'll copy this. I'll copy this again, and I'll paste. So we can change this to login and remove the name. And if I use my restaurant again, what do we have here? No request running. Oh, this should be post should be in caps. Did I miss anything here? Do post, and let's save and let's do restaurant again. Yes, and we have our token. And if I come here and let's copy our token, I'll come to this parent of my Firefox again, and I'll go to this website JWT.io, and if I paste it here, you should have our ID as 1 and the sub as my email, and the expiration time, if I over on it, it will expire in the next 1 hour. So this is 9:35 and my current time is 8:36. So this is how we can create a token and register a new user. I know I promised that we're going to look at how we can do a protected route, but the video is already long and I want to keep my videos under 30 minutes max. So in the next class, what we'll be looking at is how we can use our token to protect a route. For example, the profile route or the upload route. If you enjoyed this video, please do well to leave a like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me to want to do more. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next class.